I think like it's time we change this definition of dieting and stop pushing it in a corner like it's the worst thing you're doing to yourself.
We want to take off the stigma to the word keto, diet. The fact that you hear somebody say diet already builds stress in your head.
But isn't like dieting something that is the new healthy, wholesome eating? In a world where junk food is so readily available and you literally have to break your hands and legs for eating real food.
We call eating normal food dieting.
Yeah.
Today you become normal to eat a pizza. Today become normal to eat chocolates. Become normal to eat a burger.
Yeah.
But it is dieting to eat ghar ka khana.
Hi, I'm Barkha, Head of Nutrition at Mama Keto. And today with me, we have the co-founder of Academy of Strength, Coach Fatboy himself.
Hello.
So, Suhail, this is quite a contrast to your personality, and I believe this is your Instagram handle.
Well, also contrasting is my voice today. Sorry for that, guys. I'm facing a bad throat, but I'm going to try my best to keep it clear and audible for you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty clear to
A
me.
huge contrast for a start to be speaking in front of a camera simply because this is not where I'm best at. What I'm best at is training people and coaching people. Let's count this out of my comfort zone for today, but I'm going to try my
But
best.
what's the story behind the fat boy?
Well, I've said this so many times, but it's kind of a cliche right now that I always imagined myself to be lean and ripped someday. And that took me almost 10 years. But eventually, when I managed there, my vision was I will start naming my profile as Coach Fat Boy just so that when somebody comes onto the profile, sees a ripped guy on that profile, and the irony could be funny, is what I thought. I don't know how many people find it funny, but I rolled with it anyway, and now it's stuck. Everybody knows me more than my name. Fat Boy is what they call me. It was a damn funny story that I was in Himachal once, and somebody reached out, and they had confused the name little. And the lady went on, "You are fat coach, fat coach, fat coach." I was like, yeah, exactly. That's me. That's me. So yeah, that name stuck because I was a fat guy who was aspiring to be a lean, ripped guy. It took a long time getting there, but I finally did.
I can't believe it. How many kgs have you lost?
At my peak, I was between 89 and 92.
Okay.
I'm at 61 today.
Wow.
I don't intend to be this lean, but I'm planning to compete in a competition that is going to be a martial art, the MMA competition. So my coach expects me to be between 60 and 63 for the next 6 months at least.
Oh, really?
So hopefully I plan to put on some weight after the competition. But for now, being light is helping me. And I think like the movement patterns and mobility wise, I feel so much more better. When I'm heavier, it's harder for me to move.
Yeah.
So I guess this makes sense for now.
Okay. Whenever you do plan to bulk up, you know where to come.
To be honest, without plugging it in, it's been a couple of months that I've been having food from here, simply because I live alone. And I think the biggest challenge for me while on my journey of being somebody who's looking for weight loss was always food.
Yeah.
And my excuses were, let me find a kitchen, let me find a chef, let me find money, let me find a place for me to serve me diet food.
Right.
It was over a decade till I could figure the food part of it. So for me to be here on this podcast also connects me to the idea of where I started my journey from, and the struggles predominantly were always food. So let's see where the conversation goes.
We'd love to hear.
Super.
So, how many years has it been for you in this industry? And like, you've founded Academy of Strength. Tell us more about that journey.
Okay. So it started off as a child. I was always an athletic kid.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't look athletic is a different story. But I enjoyed sports. I enjoyed being outdoors. I was like a jack of all, king of none. Played multiple sports, never good at anything.
Okay.
But I still did play sports. I
Like
was
what?
not one of those kids who sat at home, computer, laptop. That was not me at all. I mean,
What kind of sports were you into?
I played cricket professionally for a bit. I played basketball. I won't call it the kind of sport that most people enjoy, but I enjoyed snooker for a bit. Amongst all
Quite
the activity
interesting.
sports. Sorry, yeah. I didn't think like I would. Actually, I bunked college one day and went to a snooker parlor.
And that's it.
That's it. The next thing I know, I'm playing LP with like older uncles in the parlor and all of that. So I didn't study much. I didn't go to college much. But I guess most of my education happened in practical real life, including my fitness also. My struggles, like I said, I didn't understand how to program, I didn't understand how to find a nutritional balance. I educated myself with that, and most of the learnings came by experience. So
Right.
all that experience culminated to the academy eventually. So
Oh.
my dream was to have a place where we can all have fun. It won't be a typical gym, and it'll be something where people of all shapes, sizes, ages, insecurities can come and pour their hearts out and feel like they've been heard and
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're getting the results that they always have been evaded from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at this point where the academy stands, I feel we're getting there slowly, one step at a time. It's
Right.
a very organic growth, not pushing it too hard, learning to enjoy ourselves, and let's see where it goes.
I think it's a very well established
That's
success,
would, that
have
would.
to say. And I remember having a conversation where you were saying there's a third academy center that you're going to be
Yeah,
coming out with,
yeah, yeah.
right?
So as of now, we have one in Indiranagar, that is the prime facility, and there is one in Whitefield, that was a second one. And these two have actually, to be honest, grounded me a lot more than like taken me up.
Yeah.
It's simply because initially I thought running a gym when we had one gym is a easy
Mm.
task. You know, you have all the team there, you have yourself there, the ideology is clear,
Yeah.
the downline follows what you have intended for the whole organization. But once you start to diversify and grow, then the real challenges start. Like for
Mm.
me, from a coach to an entrepreneur, that's where I'm seeing my journey go.
Yeah.
I don't know if I enjoy it or not. For now, it's a lot of work. But let's see, let's see.
That's
Third
true.
facility coming up in Cunningham, hopefully by June.
Nice.
Fingers crossed. Pray for me.
Great. Super. Oh, by the way, what are the kind of workouts that you facilitate? Because I remember going through a website, very early on when I moved to Bangalore. And it was just like very unique. This is not like a typical gym setup.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was a long journey trying to figure a system to training.
Yeah.
So for most people, when they think training and workout, they think weights, right? When you walk into a gym, you will see 100 types of machinery
Yeah.
that most coaches will just put you on to without really explaining to you why you're doing, how you're doing, and how is it going to benefit your everyday life.
Hmm.
For me, when I started my fitness journey, training was all about how you're going to look.
Yeah.
Big shoulders, big chest,
Absolutely.
all of that. And women shied away thinking gym was only for men, right? This I'm talking about 10 to 15 years back.
I mean, I honestly think the belief still exists.
Yeah,
somewhere.
in pockets of it, things are starting to change. And I think at somewhere in this whole industry, I think we as academy have tried to bring the ideology saying that holistic fitness is where you need to go. And in the last 15 years of failing, faltering, injuring myself, and doing a lot of shit, even while I was a coach, to be honest, and I'm seriously apologizing to the old clientele of mine who I did a lot of mistakes with. I promise you, I'm so much better now. I mean, education is what has changed me,
Yeah.
helping understand that training can be subjective at the same time customized for needs. What we do today is more functional. In a simple language, we train day to day life. What you
Okay.
do in the gym has to benefit you in your everyday life. If it's
Right.
not, you're kind of missing the plot somewhere. But that being said, it is important that women, men, irrespective of age and injuries and concerns, structure their routines more towards everyday functionality rather than aesthetics or how you look. Right? So
Okay.
that's how we are different today.
And how different is this from CrossFit?
Okay, so CrossFit I feel is more like a branding. Like, for example, if I look at movement, there is strength training, there's mobility training, stability training, agility training. CrossFit is more like a brand that has combined various kinds of movements
Yeah.
and categorized one genre where most of the training in CrossFit is high intensity as compared
Yeah.
to most kind of trainings. Where, I mean, I don't say it's good, bad. It has its place. It has its place. What I would recommend though is not doing 5, 6 days of it. Right? You need to address the other elements that your body needs.
Right.
It just so CrossFit addresses a lot of your endurance and conditioning, which is needed. But why would somebody who sits for 8 to 10 or 15 hours in a day need that kind of intensity in their training?
Right.
What they would need is rather fix their postures. If I'm sitting for this position for so long, certain areas of my body are getting tight.
Yeah.
And over a period of time with age, that doesn't get better. So for me to reverse that, I have to do that in a calculated, in a systematic way that I would train. Otherwise, it's going to compound into things which will eventually lead to pains and injuries.
Right. Yeah, there was a time when I was doing CrossFit very religiously, and
We were all there, right?
yeah. And honestly, like five days a week was my schedule, early morning. And over a period of months, I actually felt like my knees weren't doing the best.
Really?
And
For how long did you do before you start feeling your knees?
I think about 3 months.
Oh wow, you lasted long.
Yeah,
I
and
started
then
feeling pains and aches the first 2 sessions I did. And
right.
I thought my morbidity started to highlight in front of my eyes. I really thought I was like, I'm going to die or something like that.
Yeah,
My cardiovascular was tested, my muscles were
yeah,
hurting, my joints were
absolutely.
hurting. And I thought something was wrong with me, right? So I'm
That's what
glad you lasted
I
three
ignored it
months.
for a while till somebody told me that you better be careful with these
Yeah,
movements,
have to take it a
because
little
it's
easy.
very fast, and I don't think like for a long term this is something that one should
I
really.
mean, you can use that in phases. Like I said, it's not bad, it's not good. If you're smart about what sort of adaptation that you are looking for. When I say adaptation, you could want to get stronger, you could want to get flexible, you could want to get more mobile, you could want to have more endurance.
Yeah,
If endurance and trying to have more cardiovascular or muscular endurance is your need,
yeah.
CrossFit works well, but you can't do 6, 7 days of that. You have to step back a little, address the other things like I mentioned earlier.
I think for me it was the rush of getting chiseled and
Ha.
building muscle at the same
I
time.
think we all fall victims to that. And my strong recommendation to anybody listening, don't chase that body. Chase a healthier lifestyle. I know it's so easy to
Absolutely.
say. Everybody eventually comes there saying, I want to be healthy. 3 days later, they're asking, where's my abs? Right? Like, I totally get that.
Yeah, actually coming to that, a lot of people generally ask us that, what does it take to actually have a healthy lifestyle?
Okay.
And, when I ask them, like, what do you, according to you, is a healthy lifestyle? The most common answer I get is that, joining a gym, doing a 10K step count, joining a yoga class, dance class, whatever,
Got
some
it.
form of cardio or
Correct.
physical activity. But these are the same people who, like, even if they do go to the gym and they come out, you have a bakery around, you have a fast food chain around. Yeah. And you
Right
just,
after the gym. It's called the stamina stick, sometimes before the gym.
yeah, I've seen that too. And, these people are just sitting and hogging on like whatever.
Iyengar bakery is yummy. What are you saying? Bun samosa.
Right. You know what I'm talking about. I'm
Yeah,
sure you've
yeah,
witnessed that
yeah,
too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you think is like the mentality, the thinking behind this? I mean, to me, it's just strange.
True. No. No. From my perspective as a professional today, I see a lot of self sabotage. You work so hard in the gym. You really try to like get yourself into order, physical movement wise. But honestly speaking, that is just a very small element of what your fitness or your good or healthy lifestyle should be.
Right.
The bigger elements are what sort of information or what sort of knowledge you're exposing yourself to mentally, what is absorbed here.
Yeah.
And for us, the most part of it is Instagram is what is feeding us.
Absolutely.
And that is building so much anxiety, so much stress, so much pressure to go kill the gym and then also have like a good looking lifestyle. But for me, good lifestyle would predominantly mean having some sort of stability in your head, and that is directly connected to first, that is movement. One part. Major parts that I'm going to follow are going to be first, consuming wise, 70% of your body is water. But if you notice, nobody's really talking about how much water
Yeah.
and when do you drink water and from what containers do you drink water, right? If you say 70% of your body is water, then you should really be putting a lot of attention to how you're consuming your water. That's one. And added to that factor, which I again think today most people struggle with without giving it importance, is rest and recovery,
Absolutely.
right? Such a huge deal for you to not be sleeping enough and just be training hard.
Yeah.
People do eat
Just
well.
an ego.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, more than ego, I feel it is like people are very insecure within themselves, thinking if I don't do this, I'll look fat.
Yeah.
I will be out of shape, and my friends will call me out. And look at the society, and look at that guy on Instagram. He has ab. Look at this girl. I saw her like this, and look at how she looks now. Her skin is glowing. They don't understand those are
Yeah.
filters. Those are a lot of edits. Reality is,
Exactly.
you need to keep goals for yourself and figure this is where my lifestyle is. If this is what I'm doing, even just moving for 5 minutes dedicatedly in a day could be a part of healthy lifestyle. If you've taken care of your sleep and water, for a start.
I think that's how sort of like sets the tone for the day, right?
Most part of it. And then comes your training and all the
Yeah.
other things.
But what do you think this is? Is it a lack of awareness? Is it the fact that
100%. 100%. There's nothing more than lack of awareness. I mean, I could understand why people, even after having the awareness, could not do it, because although I knew for myself that I was fat, I wouldn't say obese. I was fat and I needed to make a change. I did
Okay.
everything possible in my understanding and knowledge to see that if I can fix the most obvious elements. But the fact is, we look for everything other than the obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, I finished my gym. Would it
Right.
make sense for me to enter Irongar Bakery? I just finished my workout, or I'm going to be running now. Does it make sense for me to smoke before that? Right? So the obvious things are sabotaging your fitness journey. And if you call yourself out on that, then is when you need to go to a professional and get more detailed with things.
Right.
And based out of your body type, your blood work, your lifestyle, how many hours you sleep, what sort of work you have, if you're sitting for too long, you're standing for too long, that is when you can think, you can categorize what you need to be doing with your fitness better.
Okay. Okay. So, what are the top 3 challenges today for someone who's just starting out their fitness journey?
The first part of it is trying to figure what sort of nutrition that you should be having, which could be sustainable.
Right.
Right? See, most people think joining the gym is the first story, and this is me putting my gym at risk. Please come to the gym. Start your nutrition first. Nutrition aspect where you start to understand what works with your system, right? Like there are a lot of biases towards a lot of new concepts today, where they say cut sugar, cut carbs,
Yeah.
cut this, cut that. I think before you start cutting anything from your life, I recommend start adding the good
Yeah.
things. Right? That
That's
is
a good
much
strategy
easier.
most of the time.
That is so much easier for you to add one thing at a time. So I say add for the first month just one good change that you can sustain. Right? Who wants you to become Usain Bolt in 3 months?
Yeah.
Right? I always say to my trainees also, what if you peak very early? What comes after peak? You have to go down, right? So I say if you're not somebody who's in a competition phase, take your time to peak.
Right.
Gradually start. So first challenge would be obviously nutrition for that aspect of it.
Okay.
The second challenge would be finding the right mentor. When I say mentor, not somebody who will only give you good workouts. Somebody who will also build awareness towards your thoughts, in the way you're breathing, your stress patterns, and how you start behaving when you're stressed.
Yeah.
Like most people who are stressed, given to a lot of habits, right? So having that in check and finding a mentor who can bring awareness to that part of your life. And the third and the final part is creating a support system.
Right.
Right? Because in most circles today, we know that the minute somebody wants to make a healthy change, there'll be 3 other friends being like, hey, bro,
Yeah.
come no. Saturday, what you doing? Sitting at home. I'm like, I cut out all those friends. Sorry, friends. I'll come back to you. But you know what I mean, right? There's no love
Absolutely.
lost. It's
Yeah.
just at some point you got to love yourself more than everybody
Yes,
else. So I
absolutely.
think these 3 things, if you can fix nutrition, find a mentor, and find the circle that can help you with the first 2 things, I think you figured most part of it.
Or maybe like drag that circle to gym too.
Yeah, for sure. See, I'll tell you honestly, I was one guy, like I said, I was a fat kid in school, and I had all these athletic boys around me who looked ripped and like Greek gods through their entire school life, teenage. But
Throughout school.
as they reach college, I saw some things change, And today, that circle changed into, I don't want to say how bad it went, but they've built a lot of extras in the front, extras all over. And I realized like if it wasn't for me, who was insecure, eventually wanted to make a sustainable change. Now, these guys who were ripped, who lost their plot in the middle, have come back slowly, looking at
Getting
me,
trained from you.
saying that, look at this guy who we used to make fun of, and today he's doing all this. And they come
Yeah.
with that humble attitude and saying, now you tell us, we'll listen to you types. And it's amazing. I'm telling you, I enjoy that feeling, not at the expense of ragging them, but it just feels like life has come a big round circle somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
I looked at them initially for their bodies, and now they're looking at me for my body. And now it's my turn to tell them body is not what you need to obsess about.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, it's the lifestyle.
Also, what I feel is that, people who actually realize this early on are people who are victim to maybe gaining fat, like, because when you're young, you don't really think about your health problems, right? You
True.
just think about your looks, your aesthetics,
True.
whether you're thin or fat or
Not when you're
ugly or
young, even when
pretty.
you're old.
Yeah, but that's true.
It's not wrong entirely, but keeping that as a whole goal, I think, is the
Yeah.
trouble. Yeah, especially the ones who are really fit and athletic in the younger days, they think they're going to stay like that for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and that's when the shocker drops in because
Yeah.
like people who absolutely don't look unhealthy, even today,
Uh-huh.
like are the ones that actually will come out with the most serious problems.
Correct.
And that's because we take it for granted that we don't have a tendency. Our metabolism is too good.
Absolutely. That
So
taken for granted is the key word.
yeah. And I really think that it's a plus to actually face that growing up. So
No,
you're
it's
much
true.
more aware. That's how my journey also began, by the way.
You were overweight
I
or
had a tendency, but
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
was also playing a
What
lot of
was your favorite
basketball.
food? Junk.
It still is, but but I know my.
For me, it was all this chaat, man. All
I'm
that
from Delhi and I'm not a
samosa
chaat
puri.
person, Sohail. I
In
don't
the
know
south,
why.
if I
What's the
can enjoy
obsession?
chaat, but in the south also, I eat chaat only in these places where North Indians make it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
The
about.
South Indian chaat, guys, I'm not biased. I love South India. Not y'all, me and us have a lot of food that we really like, dosas and idlis and vadas. But chaat somewhere really had my heart,
It's
that
a core, yeah.
dahi kachori. Oh, I'm already hungry now. You're shooting this early morning. I'm not too well. I shouldn't be thinking of kachori, but here I am.
Speaking of that, so when you start a transformation program for someone, what percentage of people that come to you actually complete it? Like, I'm sure like everybody wants to start like it's like a new year challenge sort of a thing. And since we're in the beginning of the year, I thought like this is going to be the ideal time for you to assess last year's your entire process.
Got it. So, with me personally, I feel like me as a coach, I'm unique or different in a way that I like to have that more personal connect with my audience or with my trainees rather, right? For me, I believe that my struggle as a kid who suffered with weight issues was always that compassion angle, that non-judgment angle of bro, don't worry, you fucked up, that's fine. Sorry, am I
No,
okay with
it's
that?
completely fine.
I screwed up and then not like that's any better word, but yeah, for me it was always trying to find somebody who will tell me, more. I feel you, I understand you, I understand your struggles, and I'm here for you for all of it with the right plan. Right. So my approach to my trainees is exactly that. I treat them like how I would have liked to be treated by a mentor or a coach when I started my journey. Not forcing me with workout, not forcing me with diets, helping me figure my life from where I started. Like, for example, most of my trainees who started with me have stuck to me for years now. And even if they haven't, wherever in the world they are
They
still
keep coming back.
yeah, they are still coming back and they're constantly following all those methods we inculcated over the period of time.
Right.
What hasn't happened though, which I would like to do better in most cases, what I think is um I would like to have lesser people to deal with, right? Like you can give more when you have lesser.
Yeah.
And over time, I've realized, I feel like at some point there's that balance of, oh, you got to make a little money also. But at the same time, you have to connect to these people where they have to genuinely feel that they're getting the results and value for the money. And that for me became very personal, right? I started to see my insecurities into everybody who started. And fortunately for me, it connects. It's not too different from how I thought and how I struggled. And that is for all genders, all classes, all age lines. Like those struggles that I went through, they're going through. And it's so relatable that that they connect and they stay. So once you have that connect and once you have that trust built with your client or your trainee, whatever you try to change in them, they are more accepting. As compared to you come to me and you've paid up your money for your PD 12 sessions, and I'm like, okay, come on, let's work out. Okay, go eat this. Okay, tell me why you didn't do this. That is not going to last for too long.
Yeah.
And I feel like today most coaches are in that very robotic method of, I will give you diet, I will give you workout, you follow, otherwise I'll beat you.
Yeah.
I'm like, it won't work. I
Yeah.
mean, not at least in the long run, unless somebody is really highly self motivated, this won't last. So for me, it is about being compassionate, especially about their failures.
Yeah.
People, when they come to you, they already have such deep insecurities and struggles that they already have outside the gym. So my goal for them is never set them up for failure, right? Like somebody at your level maybe walks in and says, I tell you, do 500 lunges and you do it comfortably. And you're like, what next, bro? But they could be somebody else. And if I don't assess them well and I set a very high target for them and I said, for you only 100 and they couldn't reach even 20, they're going to be broken.
Yeah.
So for me, training is more psychological, which I feel is a direct connect with your body, your mind, and all the other things.
So if you had to give a number to the percentage, what would it be?
Man, I just don't want to put out a number because you asked me a question, but to be very honest, I can say the majority of them. I would go up to the extent of saying at least 8 out of 10 people have stuck. And the ones who haven't stuck, it's not been their mistake, it's been my fault. I've either not given enough time or something that I've not really seen through. Right. And I don't blame them at all because, again, going back to how I started, I know how many coaches gave me so many ideas and thoughts. And looking back, I realized I didn't fail. They set unrealistic tasks for me when I started. Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, walk in Barkha, 10,000 lunges right now. It's going to break you.
Yeah.
And even like if I said 10 lunges, and then you're going to be like, what's next? And at first day, second day, and the first month, if I can work your way slowly and gradually, then I've succeeded.
You also tend to build confidence.
Correct. So
as
I
you
would
do
say
that.
majority of them without putting a number on it, because then I'll be calling myself out on wrong numbers later.
All right. So one more thing I noticed with coaches, Suhail, is that we get a lot of calls for meals, saying that this is given by our trainer, and I said, okay, why don't you share the diet chart? Maybe let's try and sync the meals with what you have as a plan.
Okay.
And I am just shocked because it's just unrealistic. The diet charts that they get: boiled chicken, boiled eggs, boiled vegetables, all day chicken without any, fat, without like masala.
I'll tell you why I'm laughing, because the diet that I thought will work for everybody after all that I tried was this: boiled chicken, boiled vegetables. I kid you not, I did that also. So much boiled chicken and so much boiled protein that all I did all day was farted. Like, I don't know how people live on this high protein diet. Excuse me. I just feel like I meet certain people who have not trained with me or who just come to me and start talking about their diet and tell me, I eat so much protein. I understand high protein diet is on a very generic level good for you.
Yeah.
But don't be obsessive, right? And don't boil that chicken because it's not sustainable.
Yeah, that's the problem they create, because when you're boiling the chicken, you're making it like harder to digest for the body.
Correct.
So the combination of, a healthy fat source with a high
Yes.
protein source is something
Yes.
that will actually do you good. It'll
Correct.
give you the satiety,
Yeah.
and you get your protein intake.
No, in a way, I'm kind of, I'm not for trainers talking or giving diet plans.
Yeah.
I would suggest you give guidelines. Like even me as a coach, after being in the industry for almost a decade, I would never write a diet plan and give to somebody and saying, this is diet plan, go follow. I would give guidelines and I would try to see where your system lies and work you around that system.
Right.
Like, for example, in my house, everybody eats rice. I'm not going to come and tell you, switch to quinoa today. Right? It's not sustainable because that poor lady who's cooking for you, she has to cook quinoa for you and then rice for 10 other people.
Yeah.
Then you'll have 10 other demands.
And it's
Someday
not
she's
going to
give up.
last like that.
Not sustainable. So what we do, or rather I do personally, is give you guidelines on a very generic level, which can work for any human. The kind of guidelines that you can take back home and follow with your family. That would be somewhere around 50-60% protein if you're training individual. Maybe moderate that according to your needs. Then have more healthy fats, which most people ignore. They think oils are
I think
bad.
it's a fear.
Yeah,
like,
it's the fear.
fat is really
Correct.
made the enemy.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, like, I had this very educated podcast I was listening to, without naming him, said, more fat burns more fat.
Yeah.
Without getting stuck on what the technicality is the healthy fats that we're talking of. So don't avoid them. Consult a nutritionist who will guide you on how much fat you need to have in your diet. Do not avoid it completely and find a balance. Like I said, around 50-60% of protein, 20-30% fat. And of course, there's also this fact where people have evil and demonized carbs.
Yeah.
See, my understanding is carbs is a very, very good source of fuel, right? Especially for an athlete and who has a very active lifestyle. And what sort of carbs do you consume? That's where the question comes in.
Not all carbs are
Correct.
equal.
For me, the refined part of carbs is absolute no-no.
Yes.
In fact, refined anything is an absolute no-no. Even refined oils, that is your fats, are a no-no.
Absolutely.
What I would rather do is just supplement that or have an alternate with, say, more millets. These are healthier sources of carbs.
And more filling, so you
more
tend to
filling,
eat less.
More filling. Again, this is not me giving you ideas as a nutritionist. I'm just telling you on a very general level.
Yeah.
This has worked for 99% of the population. Ideally, if you've not overconsumed the good things that I'm telling you also, you should be in check. And if you do need more specific guidance, please reach out to a professional, not Instagram, please. I beg you.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're like training your, the people that come to you, how do you strike a balance between pushing them to the limits and also making sure that they don't get overwhelmed by it? Especially people with health conditions like metabolic
Yes.
syndrome, like diabetes, hypertension, thyroid even.
Lovely. So, actually, I've always wanted a chance to talk about this. Like initially when I started my journey, this is where I did all my mistakes. I had a very set kind of like routine for any human that walked in, right? Without understanding what is the necessity from this human's body. I would just do squats, deadlifts. So the way or anybody should look at training is in these elements: push, pull, hinge, carry, squat.
Okay.
These are the functional patterns any human will work in, right? Pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting, sitting, standing, and carrying. It will be
Okay.
carrying in any side of any angles rather. With this
You
as
said five
guideline,
things, isn't it? Like
push,
push,
pull, hinge,
pull,
carry,
hinge,
squat.
carry, squat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Squat is sitting, standing.
Right.
Hinge is bending, peaking.
Okay.
Push, pull, and carry.
Okay.
Obviously, right? Excuse me. Yeah. So this is my guideline. But now in these guidelines, I have a library of exercises for squat. I have a library of exercises for hinge. Likewise for push, pull, and carry. Now in this library, I have levels, right? At the most beginner level who's never done anything. For these 5 patterns, I have a routine.
Oh.
So, like that, at any level, I have a routine in these principles. So, the intensity is based out of an individual's capacity to handle the kind of
Right.
training that I'm putting forward. So that usually for me, I don't take the first month where I'm starting to high intensity work with people. The way I train people, again, I don't know if there are other people also doing this. Personally, what I think is stabilizing a human structure is key. When every time when I say stability and people are wondering what stability is, you remember that Karate Kid movie where this guy is standing on one leg on the boat
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Miyagi-san is rocking the boat, right? So before he starts to make him do all the crazy things, first he helps him find the center of gravity for his
Yeah.
body. So once your body is more stable, then all these things that I said, push, pull, hinge, carry, squat, with resistance, which will make you stronger, will make more sense. So in my training, my phase 1 will always be stability from the same library that I spoke of: hinge, push, pull, carry. And as they progress and get better with their stability, I start to add more resistance on it.
Okay.
Meanwhile, constantly, I'm not negating the fact that every human has a certain demand of mobility. When I say mobility, stability, I explained like
Yeah.
Miyagi sang and all of that. Not sang. But mobility, I would say, like, you see, most people are getting into a rounded spine posture.
Yeah,
They can't
posture.
completely extend it back. Rounded shoulders, they can't completely open it back. And a lot of other things like that. So I address these elements also. Increase the range of motion. And once you find a new range of motion, strengthen that range of motion. Your body starts to shut down range of motions that you don't use.
Yeah.
So as you age, you're not getting more mobile, you're getting more restricted. So you can, I wouldn't say actually reverse aging, but you can stall things. You can slow things down if you have your movement pattern
Yeah.
categorized and planned in the way, like I said.
Yeah. And then check your metabolic
Yes,
age.
of course. I mean, I'm not going to check my metabolic age. Since you said check, I get so anxious when people start looking at numbers for progress, especially if you're not an athlete. See, if you're an
Yeah.
athlete, these numbers
These
make a lot of
matter,
sense.
yeah.
100%. You should be calculating, you should be measuring, you should be keeping frequent assessments to see whether you're progressing or not. But if you're a regular person who has a 9 to 5 job, Bro, don't get yourself confused and stuck up in numbers, 100 grams of protein khana hai, 20 grams of carbs khana hai. I'm anxious just saying it.
It doesn't last more than a month,
Cannot.
honestly. And
Cannot.
even I've tried doing that in the early days of,
Yes.
getting introduced to fitness. But I haven't been able to keep consistent with it. And, I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't work for me. It might work for
For
somebody
most
else.
people,
For
believe me,
most
as a
people.
professional, I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of people doing this. It doesn't last.
Yeah. And then you end up, going into a loop where you're just like going all out on food, like you've never had
Correct.
food before.
And
So,
once you stop, then there's a relapse.
absolutely, yeah.
See, I'm not, again, there is a space for that also. If you're educated pre-hand,
Yeah.
for example, I had somebody who said, my brother's wedding's coming up and she wanted to fit into this hot dress. And the number of people that want to do that. I'm like, only for the wedding, what after? She's like, yahan tak kar do, chalega, uske baad dekhenge. So I've done that also. But what I did differently there is, I helped her understand that this is not sustainable. And once you do stop, there will be repercussions.
They'll go to any extent.
Correct.
And
And the
that is the
repercussions are
sad
psychological.
reality of the world we live in, Suhail.
Correct. You want quick results, no?
Yeah.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
You want a reel to finish in 10 seconds. You want that video to be compressed from 1 hour to 5 minutes. You want everything in short.
Yeah.
So who will do a long program when they say 1 year to get yourself in shape? They'll be like somewhere
long
else next to
time.
your gym only. That fellow sitting there, he's saying 12 weeks you'll do it. And that
this
fellow
is
next
the
to that said
problem.
21 days you'll do it.
This is the problem. Even in the nutrition world, we have companies selling supplements for a living. Like, I mean, people actually believe that, eating supplements is the only thing that you need.
No.
And that's like a meal replacement.
I mean, it defines it by itself, supplement.
But nobody really truly understands. Maybe they should come with a definition.
Or read some more. Sorry, if you're not reading enough.
Yeah. But do you think there's also a difference in the way that you train men and women? I mean, is there something that really should happen?
Yeah, there's a stark difference in the kind of intensities that you would train at. See, with women, what I have learned with experience is there are different phases and hormonal activities that a female body goes through. With men, it's kind of much easier. The system is lesser complex. With women, the complexity is much higher. One is physically, emotionally, and of course, mentally,
Yeah.
right? Through phases in the month, there are a lot of hormonal changes that happen. And at certain phases, when your body is going through those changes, it's not advisable for you to push hard. And coming back to something like a CrossFit, right? It is always higher in intensity.
Yeah.
And if you're around your mental cycles, if you're around your ovulation time, it's not very advisable that you go crazy on your routines.
Yeah.
There are other things that you can do more specific to what your body requires. And that way you should be training differently from men. Right? Your intensity levels, the kind of movement patterns that you follow, the kind of body parts that you stress in that part of your cycle or your menstrual phase. This has to be very subjective.
Can you give me an example of how you would train a woman like during her menstrual cycles
Okay, to
going on?
be again, I'm not going into detail with this because again, different women
Yeah,
have
no,
different
just like,
intensities they will train
just a
on a very
base.
generic level, just not getting stuck up at one point saying that this is what it should be. I know women around their cycles also who are athletes, right? They can't be like, I'm going to be competing for India and I'm going to be saying I'm menstruating, so I won't push myself.
Yeah.
Right? So there are differences in women also at what phase in their training they are. But on a very generic level, if I have to talk, I would like to do more lower intensity cardiovascular based stuff
Okay.
for my time around that 1 week of premenstrual and just around your menstruation and post that. Apart from that, I would like to push a little more weights.
Okay.
I would like to build intensity. But at that particular time, the body is already going through a lot of changes. And the mood is not right. The hormones are not in place. You don't want to add more stress to the body around
Right,
that time.
by lifting.
You want to go
So something
easier.
like yoga or Pilates would do?
Lovely. These are all good. Pilates again is very hard on your center.
Core,
Right?
yeah.
I would say choose movements that are not very hard on your core. And I'm saying core as in core is everything other than your hands and legs.
Yeah.
Core is not just your stomach. Core is everything other than your limbs.
Yeah.
So I would suggest don't stress your core too hard, especially around your menstruation time.
Okay. Got it. On that note, dieting is often considered a taboo, right? Like we live in a world where people, make fun of you if you're on a diet, or like the elders will immediately assume that, oh, you're probably starving.
Yeah.
So it's a very negative definition around that.
Yes.
And personally for me, if you actually look at what people eat, and these are the same people who are actually making fun of somebody who's
Correct.
dieting, it's horrific. I mean, you open Swiggy, Zomato right now, it's an inevitable trap. Right?
Don't look at my Swiggy and Zomato, guys. Believe me.
So, I think like it's time we change this definition of dieting and, stop pushing it in a corner like it's the worst thing you're doing to yourself.
Just connecting to what conversation we were having, and just before we started, we want to take off the stigma to the word keto, diet.
Yeah.
Get newer names so people firstly open their minds up.
Yeah.
The fact that you hear somebody say diet already builds stress in your head, right? So what I would think is, instead of getting yourself into doing something which is diet, check your lifestyle again. I know I'm not giving out too much here by saying the same thing again, but that is how simple life really is.
But isn't like dieting something that is the new healthy, wholesome eating? Because like if you talk about fad diets, like I'm not talking about that. That's the correct notion that, not correct. I would say the present notion that people have. But isn't dieting necessary in the sense that, where in a world where junk food is so readily available and you literally have to break your hands and legs for eating real food? Yeah, even find something. Isn't it something that
we call eating normal food dieting?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So when somebody is eating ghar ka khana, you ask them, are you dieting? I'm like, no, bro.
If you say no, if
culture.
you say no to a burger, or if you say no to
that is junk.
Yeah.
That is junking.
Then everybody is like,
that is
are
not
you
normal food.
This is what I get.
Today you become normal to eat a pizza. Today become normal to eat chocolates. Become normal to eat a burger.
Yeah.
But it is dieting to eat ghar ka khana.
Yeah. If you're eating vegetables, you're like, are you on a diet?
Yeah, exactly. So no, again, like you said earlier, it has a very negative connotation to the word itself. On a very generic level, again, not being too specific, find the balance, guys. You know exactly what you're doing wrong. Like I said, call yourself out for the most obvious factors. You know you can't smoke. You know you're not supposed to be eating too much sugar. If you only start with that, you'll see such great and immense changes. Only that part. And from there, you can get into more specifics. Like you said, my trainer gave me a diet, or I hooked on to some services. But step one always has to be calling yourself out on the most obvious mistakes you're making.
Yeah. Okay. And what is the most absurd weight loss hack that you've heard of?
Absurd weight loss
Or even
hack.
not just weight loss, it could be any fitness or
Any
related.
fitness hack. Man, there's so many. Suddenly it doesn't come to me as you ask. If I had to really think of it, somebody very funnily said, I will eat only meat. There was this guy, I don't know if you all know Liver King.
Yeah, of course.
I was like,
and the kind of meat he eats is...
Yeah, and raw.
Raw.
I'm like, guys, we were supposed to be primitive in the past, not anymore.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Life has changed. If that way, then we're not supposed to wear clothes also. No? We never wore clothes. We had leaves running around.
Yeah.
So not everything that humans who did primitively is the best for you, because that's what they say, sun goes down, go to sleep. A lot of things have changed. We've evolved. The nutrition that you used to get before is not the same thing. For somebody to come out and just make a hard line.
Even if you want to do that, the quality of meat is not the same.
So if... it was so absurd when I heard that this dude is actually advocating eating raw meat and that is all he's done in his life.
Yeah.
I was just waiting to see when he's going to get called out. And eventually he did. He did. And that was too absurd. I couldn't process that. Some like that. And in phases, somebody came and said, running is all I need in life. I'm like, okay, maybe it helps you psychologically. But as a professional, I tell you, it's not all you need for your fitness.
Absolutely.
And there is a vast population who first thought that comes to their head is, if they think weight loss, I'll go start running from tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm saying the first thing you shouldn't do is running.
Honestly, I did that too, Suhail. I have to now.
Me too. We've all been there. Because what you need to understand is, first, if your body is stable and aligned, that's where I started, right? I said, first, I want to stabilize the structure. My ankle, my knee, my hip, they're all in unstable positions.
Yeah.
And running is multiple reps, right? Thousands of reps.
Yeah.
Imagine that instability called out on thousands of reps. Eventually, it's going to it's going to hurt somewhere.
Yeah.
So you rather first work on stability movement slowly, stabilize, get more mobility, then run, then do CrossFit, then do cycling, do whatever you feel like.
Marathons,
Yeah, everything.
Ironman.
And I look at all these events more like psychological events than physical events.
It
If
is.
somebody wants to get physically fit,
But
I
it's
would
more about
never advise
validation
them to
also,
run a
right?
marathon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ironman marathon is all for you to check your human will, the discipline that you can push to a certain point. But if you're a regular person looking at them feeling FOMO, I'm telling you, you've lost nothing. Do not ever get that diminishing feeling that somebody is doing marathon and I can run only 10 meters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Running, I would rather recommend, if you want to start walking. Walking, again, not obsessively, very subjective to your body weight, to your energy levels, to where you were before this. If I've never moved, it doesn't make sense for me to stand up and hit 10,000 because they said go 75 hard. I'm going to go 10,000 kilometers every day because that is what I'm going to do. No, it doesn't
Yeah.
work like that.
Yeah.
You have to start at their
ever
thresholds.
since some study revealed that 10,000 steps are good for you, I'm talking to clients telling me I do 20,000 steps, I do 15,000 steps, like it's a good thing.
Moderacy is just lost,
Yeah.
somewhere. I'm dieting so well. Diet karte karte 4 avocado kha liya. I'm like, bro, avocado is good,
that
not
even
like
possible?
that. I don't know. I'm just exaggerating, of course. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so much vegetables. Too much vegetables, too
Yeah.
bad. Oh, so much water. Too much water also is too bad for
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Right? You're going to be losing a lot of electrolytes if you go on consistently peeing.
That is my problem with all these, like, marathons and Ironman, that like it's okay, it's great if you can do it, but
Yeah.
are you making sure that you're sleeping well? Is your recovery
Rest.
there? How is your stress level? Because if you're pushing yourself, and of
Obsessively.
course you're training for such an event, so your cortisol levels are going to be like
And
off the
especially
charts.
if you're somebody who's lived a corporate life for 10 years.
Exactly.
Just get up and run a
You're
marathon
living
one day.
such a hectic schedule. Like your everybody's lifestyle is just like glued to the screens, or there's
Yeah,
always like
yeah.
running from one thing to the next.
Sedentary, very sedentary, yeah.
And then from there you start pushing yourself physically,
Doesn't
but you
make sense.
can't also quit your job, or even
And
if
it's
you
not
have.
sustainable,
It's not
Most of these
sustainable.
people doing that, they look different for that phase.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But immediately after, what happens?
That's why most of the athletes, like growing up, they develop some kind of metabolic syndrome.
This is also an experience from my profession that athletes are psychologically hurt the most after their sport.
Yes.
Because they're used to performing at an elite peak level, and they're used to feeling that confidence and that sense of pride because of their physical being and how integrity and strong their head is. But as soon as their career ends, see, the way I explain it is, imagine you and I bought a car from the same showroom, the same brand, the same make. Okay, I ran my engine at 120, 140, 160 every day at high intensity. And you are a very economy driver. You said 40, 60, 40, 60, comfortable. Now, my simple question arises is, which engine do you think will last longer?
Mine.
Simple. This is how a human body also functions. As an analogy, I'm trying to use a car, but your heart and your muscles and your tendons, they all have wear and tear.
Right.
The harder you push them, the harder the wear and tear. So that's exactly where I come from when I say you don't have to get up and run 10 kilometers or walk 10,000 steps. You start at your intensity, at your levels.
Yeah.
You see how far you can take your body and how much you can learn to enjoy that process. If that happiness starts to inculcate within your system, then you will sustain it.
Yeah.
What would you rather do? Something that you enjoy or something that you don't enjoy? As simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like in terms of nutrition for athletes, like because they do so much, they're not very particular about how much to eat, what to eat.
Correct.
It's a balance.
Correct.
It's a balance which is ideal for them when they're training and when they're in the best form.
Correct.
But when they're weaning off that physical activity, nothing about the nutrition is really changing. It still
Correct.
stays intact because your body is used to eating. You're used to eating
Correct.
6 meals a day. And that's it continues.
And you don't care about sugar and all because you're
Yeah,
training and
because when
everything
you're
goes.
training, you actually need that. Like,
Correct.
you use these carb gels
Correct.
when you're running or,
Yes.
for your instant hydration. And then it just comes crashing down. So, this lack of awareness around nutrition for athletes before, during, and after
Yeah.
is just something like just another.
I think in small pockets it is changing. It is changing because of course, the education that has slowly starting to creep into methodologies. without again criticizing the old school methods and ideology. They all have their space. Although they might not have explanations to what they do, I'm talking
Okay.
the old school methods, they still have worked the system over years.
Yeah.
Right? But today there is more calculated approach to these things. Athletes have understanding of how their life is going to be post their careers. So they prepare for it. And even while they are training these days, it's not just I will eat anything because I'm an athlete. Even now they're trying to understand that certain foods don't work, certain kind of sugars don't work, certain time of having nutrition doesn't work. What time is the best for them? So all this thanks to more educated strength and conditioning coaches coming into, but again, it's still a far way from the West.
I'm glad if that's happening
Yeah, I
because
know
a
it
couple
is.
of years.
It is changing, but in pockets again, it's not everywhere.
Yeah.
If you again majority, if you have to see, it's still the same ideology of khao kuch bhi because you're playing a sport, no.
Yeah.
And then once you're done, you don't know what you've done wrong. Suddenly you think,
Exactly.
dude, I was fit, I become fat.
Yeah. And then they think, oh, because they stopped exercising so much, you know.
Yes.
Okay, we spoke about social media, but there's also a lot of random advice being given about how to, how
Is
to.
this going on social media?
No, but
I'm trying not to be random, guys.
but around muscle building and weight loss and these hacks that you have, like quick weight loss, tips. How do you like manage all that? And if somebody comes to you say that I want to train like that.
Easy step. First, stop social media. Second, find a professional who has given people results around him, who have given people results that is sustainable. Because I also know coaches. See, giving results is very subjective also in such ways, I'll tell you. First 3 months, no matter what you do, if you just clean up your obvious factors, you'll get results.
Yeah.
But coaches claim credit for that. They're like, see, they came to me first 3 months over. Then they left me, then they became fat. I'm like, no, bro, you did wrong. You lied to them. You lied to them about the fact, or rather, weren't completely honest in saying initial results are very fast, especially for somebody who's not done anything.
Yeah.
Right? Either muscle gain or fat loss. For somebody who sits at neutral, for them, gains are very easy. Right? When I say gain, I'm also talking about fat loss. But as you progress in your journey, things start to get much difficult. For example, for an athlete to increase 0.01 or decrease 0.01 in his 100-meter sprint is 10,000 times more hard than an obese guy trying to lose 10 kgs. Right? But at the same time, for the obese guy also, saturation comes at some point.
Yeah.
And most coaches don't understand how to break that saturation. They give up at that point because the client thinks, oh, there's no more results anymore, and the motivation dies. So then the coach has not prepared them for something like, do you brush your teeth only when you're motivated? What happens then? You stink the society out. So likewise, if you're only training when you're motivated, your body is only going to show results till you're motivated. So as a coach, you need to prepare your trainee in advance, saying few months things are going to flow. After a while, it's going to slow. That is when we're going to make changes subjectively. So Instagram will show you a lot of transformations, but won't tell you the whole reality of it. The
And
whole
how long it
reality.
actually takes.
Exactly. The whole reality of it is this person who's put a before and after either has gone too crazy or has worked for a very long time.
And you can't even expect same results because everybody is unique.
Of course. And results are, again, subjective to how you are, right? Your limb lengths. See, like, for how my body type is, I can't expect to become Arnold. Although Instagram says anybody can gain muscle, anything is possible. It's not.
How long does it generally take to build muscle?
And again, see, without wanting to give you a straight answer, beating around the bush with this, it depends on your experience levels. If you are somebody who's lifted for a long time in your life and you've gone through that whole journey of initial gains and then a little more, you might find it a little harder to gain more muscle.
Okay.
But if you're somebody who's a newbie, who's just walking into the gym, and then again subjectively to lifestyle, food and rest, somebody who's beginning off will gain much faster, especially again in the first 6 months. From there again it starts to slow down. And that's where a good coach will moderate your training. So when somebody says, I'll get a program from Instagram and do it, for sure, you will do it. You will benefit. You will lose weight or gain weight or whatever you want.
Yeah.
But what happens when that saturation comes? And inevitably, and I guarantee you, every human runs into that wall. For most people who break that wall and get forward are the ones who are becoming inspirations and all of that. But majority of the population, and thanks to that, my business exists, that hit that wall and stop somewhere saying that, bhai, se nahi ho raha hai. So it's not just pull a workout, follow a fad,
Yeah.
find a structure, and get a coach who will prepare you mentally for these things. Don't just brush your teeth when you're motivated. You need to brush every day.
Right. Okay, talking about that, so how do you deal with recovery for somebody who's just come to you as a beginner versus somebody who's been there for a while or is a professional in that particular field?
Okay, so it's actually a great question. I'm glad you asked that. For most people, and including me in the past before I was educated, recovery meant sit at home, sleep, eat aram se, relax. But subjectively over time, I've realized movement is medicine, movement is recovery. I have to be very clear on this though. So before anybody can take me out of context or misunderstand this, for people who are injured, let's talk about that. Okay, somebody has knee pains. So what they tend to do is completely switch off that knee. Stop going to the gym entirely.
Yeah.
Right? Or your shoulder pain. Completely stopped anything related to the shoulder. But if you see, even in that pain, I have some range I can move without pain. Even in this, I have some range that I can move. Recovery simply means to move the ranges that are not hurting still at a very moderate intensity. Again, very generic. There's specific work that you can do for it. But movement needs to be done for recovery also. People are very sore. They sit back at home, they don't come. But you go to the gym and do a proper systematic mobilization that is planned by a professional. The next thing you'll know is you are feeling better. The soreness dies. But most people think recovery simply means sleep, rest.
Yeah.
Recovery is also movement, and there are routines and the workouts that you can do exactly just for that.
Okay, interesting. Do you think there's a lot of influence on people, especially people who are injured, by doctors? Because based on my experience, like when I ask for for a routine from these people, anybody who has like a knee problem or a shoulder, stiff shoulder or something, or a back injury,
Got it.
doctors are immediately the ones to stop them from moving at all.
Correct.
Like, just be a robot. You can't go to the gym. You can't walk.
Yes.
You can't get out of bed.
Yes.
You know?
Okay, so on that, the doctor is right in his perspective. See, again, depending on the injury degree, right? If it's a slip disc, you can't get out of bed, right? I'm not going to be like, listen, movement is medicine, get out. Right? Disc is gone, bro. You can't move. But that being said, what the doctor intends to do with you is keep you safe.
Right.
He doesn't think that you would go to a professional like me and who would structure a routine around recovery, especially for you. Or even better than me would be a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
Right? Doctors and physios are different categories. A doctor will tell you specific to your injury. A physio will not just address that injury, but also get you to do movement, like I said. Very controlled range of motions.
Yeah.
A pain-free range of motion. For somebody who's going to do it by himself, my simple cue would be mild discomfort is fine. For example, my back is hurting. Okay. If I'm hinging in the right patterns or if I'm bridging in the right patterns and there's no pain, right? I'm feeling just a light, mild discomfort. I'm okay to work in those ranges. But the minute I go into that feeling, that's where you've pushed too hard. I'm very, very generically talking again. Your body's constantly telling you lot of things, right?
Yeah.
It's telling you this pain is a good thing. The pain is helping you not ruin yourself further.
Yeah.
Right? It's a defense mechanism.
It is, yeah.
Right? So don't take a painkiller because you're going to kill that pain and do something more stupid. Because that painkiller, see, for example, if I have numbed my hand, right, and a hot pan, I put my hand on the pan. I feel very numb. I don't feel burn. But my skin still burns.
It'll still burn, yeah.
Right? So once the numbness is gone, then what is left is a greater degree of injury. So I'm not saying don't take painkillers. I'm just saying, see, for as far as possible, have a positive approach to the pain angle also. right? This pain is teaching you something. This pain is telling you something. That pain is building you up into something better if you address the right things. So don't completely rest when you're injured also. Find a professional who will guide you in such a direction that movement patterns are also medicine and recovery for you.
Okay, fair enough. What's your take on calories in, calories out versus eating a healthy
Okay.
diet?
So I'm going to twist that a little. I would say rather than look at calories in, calories out, which is not a wrong way to look at it, I would like you to start considering the angle of what hormones am I triggering by the lifestyle I'm living, right? Cortisol, dopamine, all these things are released subjectively to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Happy hormones, stress hormones.
Yeah.
So if I'm junking, I'm instant gratifying, high spikes of dopamine, but the crashes also will be as great.
Yes.
So at the same time, see what lifestyle is getting my hormones into a more balanced state. Now, again, you might not understand what I'm saying. Meet a professional who will explain this to you subjective to your body type.
Yeah.
Get your blood work done. Check your vitamins. Check deficiencies. All these things are very important. So rather than just looking into how many calories I've consumed and how many calories I've burned, look at me if I'm sitting and stressing so hard for 10 hours, no matter how clean I eat, no matter how good a workout I do, that stress factor is triggering certain hormones that is making me build more weight.
Yeah.
Right? So now I've calculated my calories perfectly, but I've never thought about the hormones and the reactions that are happening. So I would like people to start to educate themselves in more the direction of what lifestyle helps these hormones. And in again a very generic way saying, trigger your happy hormones, suppress the hormones that are causing more anxiety, depression, and things like that.
And this is again influenced by the social media culture, I believe, because
Man, I'm so like hard bent on, honestly, I know I have been a part of the problem. Like my whole journey, in a way, has been trying to highlight six pack ab to get more attention. And then without subconsciously realizing that you're putting out so much false information in people's head subconsciously, because they start to look at you with that body and think that is the peak.
Yeah.
That is where they need to get. Whereas they don't understand that I also have my struggles even with that body. Low fat percentage is a problem. High fat percentage is a problem. You need to figure a balance.
Exactly.
And for me right now, I'm starting to understand personally, unless I can talk like this elaborately, which could be educational in most senses. 1 minute reels, 30-second reels, I don't have the talent to put out content that will educate somebody in 1 minute.
Yeah.
I am not so like bright with editing or whatever that is that people are doing. So I'm starting to get scared of Instagram now, like these bits and pieces give out such half information and in 30 seconds you've gone to the next one. I guarantee you're probably going to switch off in like 5 minutes or I don't know, you'll have other things to do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the attention span for people today is so short that they don't have that I will sit and listen to a full 1 hour podcast to get the full information. And social media has become a platform where everything is getting shorter. We started with 3 minutes, 4 minutes videos. Then it became 1 minute reels. Now it become 10-second shorts. Then tomorrow they'll just show pictures in a flash. I'm becoming a goldfish already. Where is my attention span going to go? So I'm starting to get really fearful of the content that I put out on social media. And if you have noticed, my God, it's gone like 6 months since I've posted something right.
Oh,
and every time I put out something, I'm like, bhai, ye nahi dalega, they'll run away from you. At least maintain what I got.
But the thing is that the people actually do remember things that are said. Like even if it's they're just scrolling. If there's a information that is shared about nutrition and the fitness industry, it has to be right. Because people are going to follow just that.
Yeah.
Majority of the
they
people
choose
don't
what
like.
Is convenient for them.
Yeah, and they don't like asking for help. That's the majority of the people. They would rather
people come
text.
to me and start telling me about what workout I should do. I am
That's fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Why don't you do that little for shoulders? Why don't you do that little for like legs? I've never seen you do that. I'm like, yeah, I try. No, that's another long conversation. I'm like, where I can and where it makes sense to go into full explanations, I would. Otherwise, I want to save my throat,
Okay. What is your view on a high-fat diet like keto? And we're talking about a nutritional ketosis. And would you recommend this to your clients for somebody who has a metabolic syndrome and has to lose weight, sooner than later in the right way?
Okay. Not just with high fat, I would talk about any diet per se. It could be paleo, keto, liver king diet, any diet. Like it, you cannot just pick it out of anywhere and start using it, right? Like I said, you have to go through certain steps. Get your blood test done. Look for deficiencies. Check your activity levels. See what your previous till this point has been. If you've been very high in, say, probably sugars, take sugars off. If you've been only doing fat, and if it's not been working for you, moderate that and see what else you've not been doing. If you've been doing only high carbs and low fat or low protein, try that again. If you're somebody who's doing only high protein diet, and if it's not working, again change that subjectively. So, it's not one size fits all. It's very hard to give an answer for what they should do. I would rather say trial and error, right? Like, even for me, it took me almost a decade to figure what works for my system.
Yeah.
And it was more self discovery. But today, there are actually such credible platforms without entirely saying that Instagram is the worst place to go. There are a lot of influencers,
Yeah.
or forget not influencers, let me say professionals, doctors, dietitians, physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and so many of them I follow. I have learned so much. All this I speak of, all this education comes from the internet,
Yeah.
right? I've either watched podcasts, listened to people who are more experienced than I am. There's always something to learn from. What you shouldn't do is get stuck on one idea. Only high fat, only keto, only paleo. And all these people through experience eventually learn. You rather learn through other people's experience. And I'm telling you as a professional, never see, like in this phase of my life, high fat might work.
Yeah.
Like we spoke of athletes,
Yeah.
right? When they were athletic, everything worked.
Everything worked.
So now can they go through life saying that this is what I want to do?
Right.
So you have to subjectively, in phases, learn to listen to your body. And if you're putting on more fat, then you know it's not working. If you're feeling lethargic, you know it's not working. If your sleep is getting affected, you know it's not working. So make a change. And I'm not going to suggest to you what change you need to make.
Yeah.
You have to figure it for yourself through trial and error. Or again, find a professional who's more educated than you are with that, and he will guide you with these things.
And I feel like for some people, there are people who like delve in extremes, So for them, finding a balanced sort of a diet isn't something that works out, And there's all kinds of habits when it comes to being addicted to food, a certain type of food. So I think like it's safe to say that we can all agree that keto is okay to do in phases. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing harmful about it. There's no heart attacks that's going to happen as long as you do it with professionals.
Sure, sure.
Right?
Now, for me, with that aspect of it, always advisable to find a professional because, of course, they are a professional for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. They will give you insights to what you might have overlooked. And there again, very key word that you use is in phases. Anything that I do for a long time, your body is such an intelligent machine that it will adapt.
Yeah.
And once it adapts, it saturates. And if you're looking for progress, it's going to be hard. If you're looking for maintenance, no problem. As long as you have a proper balance. Because even when people say keto, you know what they do? They only eat meat.
Yeah.
You need to have a
And the
balance
worst
of
kind of
fiber.
oil.
Yeah. You need to have a balance with the healthier fats, with the carbs that come in. The carbs, when I say, it's your fibrous carbs or your vegetables.
Yeah, they're your micronutrients.
Correct.
Very important for your
You
gut.
need that micronutrition. So that way a professional will help you understand these things. For you to just blindly follow a diet, it'll, like I said, initially it'll work. Any change you will make, it will show some difference.
Yeah.
Either positive or negative, it will show a difference. But they all saturate very fast if you don't have a strategy for what next.
Yeah.
Right? That's where, thank God, my profession comes in. We can tell you what next. If you've done everything by yourself and you figured and then you thought you reached saturation, find a professional.
Absolutely. So, Suhail, lastly, I want to ask, what is the kind of impact that you're trying to make in the health and fitness industry?
Wow, heavy question. Pulling out the big guns now. I don't know about impact, but since we've always started, okay, this is me, not just me, also my business partner Dev. We've always thought that if we can make healthier lifestyle choices fun, training, nutrition, what you feed in your head. If all of this, if you can figure ways and patterns and methods which people will have a ball doing, there'll never be any sort of force to look healthier or feel healthier.
Right.
So even with our work in the academy, we've always strived to make workouts fun. The challenge is when you're training a larger audience to find a balance, because everybody's looking for different things. The biggest goal for me would be if I can figure a system that the whole country or the world can follow and be like, yes, this works and this is fun and this is sustainable,
Yeah.
which is very, 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 very unrealistic.
Ideal.
Yeah, unrealistic also, because how man, everybody thinks differently. But yeah, if I can figure that somehow, I think I've made it, which I think is going to take at least 2 decades.
But that's a wonderful thought. Okay, we're done with the serious questions.
Wow.
Now we have another segment waiting for you.
Fun part.
Okay, guys, today we have come to the final segment of today's podcast. We have a fitness expert here and the nutrition expert the other side. So we have a bunch of questions busting the myths and telling the truths out there. So we have about, say, 10 to 15 questions. Let's begin with the first one.
All right.
Empty stomach cardio will help you lose more weight. There we go. Okay, there's contradiction here. You want to say something about it?
Yeah, so the reason I say it's a myth is because it varies on person to person capacity to be able to do a morning workout. It does work. I have to agree it works. But for some people, including myself, I realize that I burn out easily if I start my day with a extreme intense workout, even if it's a cardio. I can do it sometimes, but I've been doing that when I was running. And it hasn't worked for me. And I don't know, especially for women, it happens a lot that most people are not, suited for this. So it does work provided you can handle it. Your body can handle it.
Yeah, it's not entirely a fact or a myth. It's hard to answer in one word. But subjectively, there are a lot of researches that say over the night, your body comes into a state where you're burning more fat.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get up, addressing a little cardio helps you burn a little more fat.
So we go to the next question. Whey protein contains steroids. Oh, lovely.
No.
Good to see you.
I get that question a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, no.
Exercise prevents aging and keeps you healthy.
Yes.
Oh, lovely to see
Please
that.
exercise.
Lovely.
Come to the Academy of Strength.
And eat right.
And eat for Mama Keto.
Yes.
Plug in.
Having creatine will lead to hair loss and kidney failure. Okay. You're busting the myth there. I need to work out all 7 days to see results. Amazing. Women need to focus on cardio for weight loss. Amazing.
No.
Lifting weights will make a woman bulky.
Oh my God. That is, I think that this is, people are still not going to
Biggest
believe
myth.
this. Yeah.
If you want to grow tall, don't lift heavy weights.
That's
These
why
are
I didn't go
actual
tall.
questions, Suhail. These are actual questions.
Is that the reason why I didn't grow tall? No, it's not.
I lift. I think I'm recently.
We have the next question, guys. High protein diet are bad for your kidney.
Yeah,
Just
this
bad
is a
for your
very.
friends.
It's, yeah.
If you know what I mean.
You should not work out if you haven't slept well.
Absolutely. We just spoke about it.
Yeah.
I can eat anything what I want as long as I'm on a calorie deficit.
Again, another topic.
Cheat meals are a strict no.
No, you need cheat meals.
Yeah.
Okay, this vegan diets is the most healthy way of eating.
How fast it
I'm
comes out.
glad you agree.
If you're a vegetarian, losing weight is hard.
If you're a stupidarian.
Okay, then our last and the final question. Dal is high protein.
Oh my God.
And carbs. Not high protein. It has protein, but it has other things also.
Okay, we've come to the end of the discussion. Thank you for sharing your insight.
Oh, that was easy.
And fun.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we have a little something for you to remember us. for the time we shared on this couch.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So we've pretty much come to the end of today's
Oh,
episode.
that was fun.
And thank you so much for sparing
pleasure.
time. I know
My
it's been a
pleasure.
little exaggerated.
Sunday morning, best time to shoot.
And as a matter of fact, we've recently launched a new menu in January, and this is called the Mama Pro,
Oh, wow.
which basically has come from a lot of feedback from our existing clients based on our previous menu. So we've revamped the whole thing. We've got amazing feedback and reviews. This is for you to try, and if you would want to dig into something right now, you can.
I'm gonna take one bite. Huh?
You can choose.
What's the menu like? Sausage,
So
egg,
there's
casserole,
a chicken,
veggies.
chicken burrito bowl here.
Uh-huh.
Then we have chicken with peanut sauce and coconut rice.
Try the burrito bowl.
Yeah.
Can I get one spoon, please? Never eaten on a podcast. Although I look at Joe Rogan, they do a lot of other things. Man, this is going to be hard to eat with a spoon. This is my first challenge on this podcast. So
I
far
mean,
it was easy.
it's not really like a standard burrito. It's like
Mixed Mama Keto special burrito.
it's meant to be eaten with the spoon.
Wait for it. It's healthy food.
So like a box will have
Not
about.
bad at all. So this rice, that is the carb source. What rice is that?
So this is going to be general rice, depending on the dish. Okay, it'll keep changing. But for a burrito, we've kept
As
the
in
like the
plain white
regular.
rice?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
lovely.
it's macro counted. It's like
Perfect.
it's just less than 100 grams.
Very nice.
And the protein content is the most surprising. At least have like 200 grams of chicken in that
No, I
box.
like how, like for the obsessive kinds, there's clear numbers here. And I mean, it helps, especially when you're on a plan, to at
Yeah.
least know vaguely where your numbers are.
Yeah.
But you'll make it more specific. So I guess adds to the service pluses.
Thank you.
Good job, though. Taste is nice, guys. Try it out.
Okay, Suhail, for all the effort that you've made,
Wow. Oh, wow.
this is just something special
Thank you so
from
much.
Mama Keto.
I hope there's a nice scented candle which I'm going to use.
Okay, why don't you open it up for us?
A few moments later.
Ooh, it's a cool mug.
Not
Mama Keto. Change your food, change your lifestyle. There you go. We've said it.
So you
on
can have
the
your coffee in
podcast.
this, and
They should have given me a coffee in this, but they chose to give me in this.
Yeah, it would have broken the
characterless mug.
surprise.
But now, I have Mama Keto. Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Suhail.
Had a ball chatting with you, and I'm glad I could do this. Hope to do one more soon.
Absolutely, we'd actually love that.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I would love to talk like this if it's an environment like this. Very comfortable. Thank you so much for making me feel at home. Had fun.
Thank you.